Hi, I'm Kathy Gallin, Legislative Lady for Signature Healthcare. In this series, we invite lawmakers into our facilities to see how the policies that they enact affect the lives of the residents that we care for. In this episode, we interviewed Senator David Simmons, the minority whip in Florida. Senator Simmons also met with our resident council. Take a look at the interview.
It's critically important that you all contact your senators, contact your representatives, and voice the concerns so that they understand early on before commitments are made with respect to the budget. They need to hear what you have to say and the challenges, the dire consequences of not properly funding long-term care. And then the next thing you need to do is come up and visit the legislators and tell them what's going on. And I strongly recommend that. And then I guess what we've all got to do is we're going to have to do some reprioritization. We're going to all have to come up with some good ideas to make sure that long-term care, education are they're really sacrosanct. And we need to make sure that they're protected. And there are certain other places where we're spending money that the answer is we just don't need to be spending it right now for those things. And that's one of the things I'm going to be looking at because I know I've got a commitment to education. I know I've got a commitment to long-term care. And I think we're just going to have to cut in some other places is what it comes down to.
Okay. You mentioned tort reform when we were just talking, and we know that billions of dollars every year are consumed on medical malpractice awards, not only in Florida, but even at the federal level. And it's been a tremendous deterrent for a lot of business to come into Florida. 2011 legislative session, tort reform did pass in the House, and of course did not pass in the Senate. Do you think that in 2012, if it is brought up again, that it would be something that would be addressed in the Senate in stronger forces, shall we say, than it was last session? Where do you see tort reform going in Florida right now?
Florida has done a lot of tort reform in the last 10 years. We really have. We've done a significant amount of tort reform, and we have made Florida a better place to as an environment for businesses. And so I know this, that we've got to make sure that Florida has a fair judicial system. That's all anybody's entitled to, is a fair judicial system. And as I discussed with you about having been involved in writing the bill in 2001 that provided significant relief for the nursing home industry. I mean, I was the person who sat down and our Senator Negron and I joke about being up at 1 o'clock in the morning writing the legislation itself that ended up coming into the bill and ultimately being passed and being considered to be exceedingly fair to nursing homes and to the residents of nursing homes. That, in fact, everyone's entitled to a fair shake, and that's all they're entitled to, is a fair disposition of the litigation that they may be involved in. I don't want to see a situation where nursing homes are targets. I don't want to see a situation where nursing homes are overly burdened by litigation, or burdened at all by litigation. What we want, however, is to make sure that we don't make it so that there are horror stories about nursing homes. And the way to do that is to assure that there's adequate funding for nursing homes. See, the goal for nursing homes is not to have reduced care and then have to worry about litigation. The best way to not worry about litigation is to be adequately funded, providing premier care, quality of care, and then you won't have to worry about people giving horror stories or filing lawsuits, because the key to this is top quality care for the citizens of the state of Florida.
No doubt, no doubt. I thought that perhaps Eric might have a question or two that he would like to ask you, being the administrator of our facility here in Winter Park. So, Eric?
As we toured, we discussed, the difference between revenue and expenses and that. And one of the things that I've been working on here at the facility, being that we're 34 years old, is I've been working to achieve a certain financial level of income to then be able to use that going to a lender to get a refurb. Because the aging of the physical plants is also a process that's, continuing to move forward. And Florida is probably no different than, other parts of the country as far as facilities aging. And so that's been the challenge. And as we kind of discussed, as they continue to decrease the, revenue aspect per payer source, it then just basically cuts in. Then you go to a lender. No lender is going to be able to.
Sure, I understand, because they're going to look at it and say, how can we afford to take a risk with you if your funding is so very, very, I guess, sparse, so very weak funding. And so I understand the concerns that you're facing. And what it comes back to is the key to this is to make sure that we have adequate funding. I don't want to go ahead and talk about reducing the quality of care, although that's what we had to do this last spring because of lack of funding. But that's not the solution. That is just not the solution. The solution to all of this is to make sure that there is adequate funding so that there will be good quality care for the residents.
Well, the other thing, too, is more of a comment, is kind of to encourage you and to encourage your colleagues, because one of the things, I've been in Florida since 1994, and several years was very active in going to Tallahassee and doing lobbying efforts, was that from year to year, it seems to change every year. So it doesn't seem that there's a real long-term goal, a long-term plan, which makes it very difficult for everyone involved.
You're talking about a long-term plan in the legislature?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the part of that's term limits. I mean, the fact of it is that there's always a new face in the House of Representatives and also, new faces in the Senate.
Sure.
And so people come in, they have to relearn or either learn for the first time the system. And so I can tell you that that's where, and I'm in favor of term limits, but what I want to say to you is that that's where it's incredibly important for you to continue to be up there,
right,
educating the members of the legislature as to what's going on. Because if you don't take that time, then it won't get done.
Yes.
I mean, you're the ones who are responsible for it.
And it also helps having someone like yourself who has the knowledge of being in the House of Representatives and then being elected to the Senate, because you've been there and you do have the knowledge from both chambers as to what the processes are and what challenges we are faced with on a regular basis. So we thank you for that as well, Senator.
And I look forward to coming and visiting you up there.
Well, look forward to it, and I know that that my door is always open to have you there, and we'll discuss this even more.
Good. Well, I appreciate that.